What's up? What's up? Welcome back. Sometimes these lo-fi beats just hit. They just sound good. I like them. Some are better than others. Some good background music. I wish we could use real music. One day, Supreme Court's gonna figure that out. For now, sometimes these jam. Wanted to start off the top today wearing black for the Raiders. Also, blends in with the microphone, so that looks good. This Ruggs situation, if you haven't seen it, Henry Ruggs got into some kind of car accident. I don't know all the details. It appears now as though he was either drunk or was under the influence of something, and someone unfortunately died in that car accident, and he's okay, and he is allegedly going to be charged with not only a DUI, but a DUI leading to death, or whatever the actual cause, or whatever they call it. And apparently that could lead to jail time. Talking about his career maybe being over. Insane. And I wanted to start by talking about this because there's a lot of lessons involved, I think. One, and this isn't the big lesson, but it's an interesting one, especially now in the Twitter world. This news breaks late this morning, early this afternoon. I don't remember what time it was. And my first thought, and I even tweeted it, was, oh man, I like Henry Ruggs. I've been high on him. I had him on one of my fantasy teams. Ended up trading him last week, so, you know. I like him. I think he was a good player. And so the first thought was, oh, I hope he's okay. This is tragic. What if he breaks a leg and has to miss the rest of the season? Stinks for the Raiders. Big bummer. All that kind of stuff. And in this world, you want to get your opinions out there. I'm obviously culprit number one. But maybe like number 85. But we didn't know that whole story yet. And perhaps we still don't. And it's hard to know when you actually know enough to take something from it. So eventually we figure out that he might be under arrest. So people are saying the car is either his or not his. Dante Stallworth did the same thing, suspended 1 year. Yeah, I don't remember the exact circumstances, but you're right. So maybe that is something to look at, but who knows? I mean, he could be facing jail time. That could change things. My point off the top was that the story, you gotta wait to see before you judge. And also, I still kind of want to wait to see to judge, because my first thought after I tweeted that out was, ooh, I feel bad that I gave him support almost, you know? And if he was drunk driving and killed someone, it doesn't feel that good. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, A, this is just a sign of the times. And me reacting quickly and not knowing the whole story, and everyone did that probably. And B, just how you can remember that your circumstances don't necessarily change the struggles that exist in your life. We don't know what happened. I mean, maybe the first thought for me is that he just went out partying, was out too late. It's Vegas. Who knows what happened? He's drunk. He drives. He hits someone in a really bad car crash. Obviously was going at decent speed. And it's a negative thing. What do I know? I mean, anything could have happened. Not that there's an excusable way to have a DUI and kill somebody at all, obviously. But what if he had 2 drinks at a friend's house, driving a fast car, it got away from him a little bit. He was going, let's say, 60 miles an hour in a 40, which everyone has done. Or so. I'm making these numbers up. This isn't real, but I'm just trying to create this thing where, like, well, maybe he's not an awful person, and we don't know the whole story yet. So maybe he has 2 drinks, he drives, he gets in a car crash, maybe a person cut him off. We don't know anything. And I'm not trying to defend him either. I just, after learning that lesson today of, like, don't react too quick, I just don't know. Also, what if he is struggling in some way? Not that excuses it either, but we just don't know everything. So, and just because you're a well-paid pro athlete or anybody doesn't mean that these problems can't jump up on you. I'm sure he didn't know when he woke up in the morning that this was going to happen. So I'm trying not to judge. And I think it's important to just enjoy yourself when you're in the good circumstance, because you don't know when this stuff is going to happen. Even if he is a bad guy, he didn't have any, doesn't seem like he had any intent for this kind of thing. So it's an ugly story, but it's an interesting one. And also, it's the NFL. For all I know, he's going to play this week and torch the Giants for 2 touchdowns. I don't know. They could suspend him for 4 games. In chat, we said a year. Maybe, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe he goes to jail, maybe he doesn't, maybe charges get dropped. You just don't know anything yet, but it's a wild story, and it definitely makes you think. I also saw a tweet here somewhere. I'll take you picture in picture so we can see it. That if he is officially charged with the felony DUI, meaning it led to a death, he would become eligible for paid leave pending the outcome of the prosecution. Same thing Deshaun Watson is getting. 2009 is different from 2021. We'll probably get a longer suspension. You'd think so, but it doesn't necessarily work linear in the NFL. Sometimes they get lighter on people for certain things. I don't know. I'm not going to try to even figure out what Roger Goodell is going to do about a given thing, because who knows. But yeah, in theory, it should be longer. We know more now. So if he's charged with this, he would become eligible for paid leave. So he's going to sit at home and get paid. And this is where you go back to the negativity. And it's like, so he's just he could go to jail, but he might, he's on trial for jail, but getting paid millions of dollars. And you have to do that, I guess, because what if he's innocent? I mean, in this situation, sure seems like he's not. Paid leave, yeah. But the flip side of that is, if someone is innocent and gets caught up in this thing, what, they should just lose their job immediately and don't deserve paid leave first? So, I don't know. It's a messy thing, and it could go down a million different roads. But I thought it was interesting to see that, until this is over, it takes a long time for some court cases to settle. It could be a year. He's going to get paid all year. Screws the Raiders badly. They didn't choose for this. They didn't ask for any of this. They just drafted a fast dude. So I feel for them. Raiders fans. I feel for my buddy Doug, who I traded Henry Ruggs to in a blockbuster fantasy football trade and got Devontae Adams back. Tough day for him. And he's a Raiders fan. Sorry, Doug. But, yeah, weird story. Anyway, other stuff I want to talk about. The trade deadline was today. I also want to get to Game 6 of the World Series eventually. We'll get there. We'll talk more about it on the back end tomorrow, probably, looking back at the game, but I want to preview it a little. And a couple other things. I do want to talk about Dame Lillard and how much he's been slumping and what his trade value is like, but I might save that for tomorrow as well, because we have more time. Wednesday, lighter day. Steelers traded Melvin Ingram to the Chiefs for a 6th-round pick. Chiefs made some moves today, not huge ones. The NFL trade deadline's weird. It's like, why do more players not get traded? What is that about? The prices are so weird, too. We talked about it yesterday on stream, how the NBA prices have gone insanely high, and the NFL prices haven't done anything. They just don't trade players very often. I know the salary cap is harder to maneuver, but also you can cut players at pretty much any time. I guess those dates where you can cut them and it doesn't count to their salary is too late compared to the trade deadline. They should do something about it, because it would, MLB and NBA trade deadlines, and NHL is crazy too. All 3 of those are wild. And NFL's just boring. It's always backup guys or depth pieces generally. Not Ingram, he's good. But you look at the standings and you start to go, why don't the Dolphins make a move? I know the Deshaun Watson thing is interesting, but they have guys on their roster. They have Devontae Parker. Couldn't he help a team? Why doesn't he get traded? Why aren't the Jets doing anything? They want to protect the greatest quarterback of all time, Mike White. So I get that. I think the NFL makes it hard to trade with contracts, yeah. Yeah, I understand. That must be what it is. But next CBA, they should do something about that, because they're actually, if nothing else, they're just missing an interesting day of sports. The trade deadline is insane some of the time. In the NBA, wild moves, superstars moving. MLB, you get a million closers moving. The premier starters are blue chips. You get something. The NHL goes wild all the time. Like I said, I just miss it here. And you would think that the NFL, of all people, would be selfish enough that they would want that day for themselves. They could have ruled all day today, and they just didn't do it. And you look down the list, and you're like, why don't the Browns try to go get a quarterback if theirs is hurt? Why don't the Steelers are 4-3? They keep, this division's weird because they're all competitive. Houston has people they could get rid of. They got rid of Ingram. Why don't they get rid of Burkhead? Why don't they get rid of Brandon Cooks? Jaguars don't have anybody. In fact, their coach is horrific. Urban Meyer, other sports kind of need it. Def is potential for them, but they don't need any more excitement. They'll dominate U.S. sports no matter what. That's true, definitely. But it wouldn't add on a Tuesday afternoon when people aren't generally talking about football. They could have just had I don't know. I guess they don't need more attention. You're probably right. But it's weird to it's not like the NFL to just leave something on the table when they think it could be profitable for them. That's all I mean. Urban Meyer, if you could trade a coach and he had any value, they would. On Sunday, he kicked an extra point down by 18. I took a note about this. In the fourth quarter, which tells you we're done here. Because if you can take the 2 and get to 16, it's a 2-possession game. Instead, he wanted a 3-possession game. So that tells me I'm finished and I want my kicker to get reps. I don't understand that. Then he calls an onside kick on the next play. Either he's a mad scientist who's like, they'll never see the onside kick coming because I didn't go for it, or he really is just totally lost. Then he has Trevor Lawrence throw 7 straight passes while down by 24, and he gets hit a bunch of times. What is he doing? Is it possible that he was just always a good recruiter and he's just not a good coach? And it's harder to tell in college because when your talent is outrageous, maybe it doesn't matter. Anyway, looking further down the line, the Chiefs made some depth moves we'll talk about. The Giants have receivers they could trade if they wanted to. I don't know. I guess you don't want to change the long-term aspect of your team a ton, but maybe no one wants Jared Goff. I get that. He's too expensive. Okay, so that's a bad example. But I don't know. It just feels like all these teams could be doing something. Why can't Matt Ryan get traded? Do the Falcons think they're a playoff team? Couldn't any of these, I don't know. There's got to be a team Washington would maybe take Matt Ryan for a flyer for this year and next year. Who knows? I don't know what his contract situation is like. It's just, you never see anything like that. And maybe they just make too much money, but it's still weird to me. And maybe teams just don't give up. Maybe the trade deadline should move further back. Anyway. Yeah, Ingram goes to Kansas City, and Mike Tomlin said, I'd rather have volunteers than hostages. I'm paraphrasing, but it sure sounds like Melvin Ingram was not happy in Pittsburgh, which is so weird. And now he's going to the Chiefs, and it's they have similar records. Chiefs are obviously better. Maybe he'll be happy there. Who knows what the situation was, but makes you wonder if that kind of stuff plays into it, because he goes for a 6th-round pick, and you're like, Melvin Ingram is really good. He was at least good on the Chargers, right? He's 32. I mean, was hurt last year a little bit. He's a solid player. For a 6th-round pick? How often does a 6th-round pick even pan out in any way? Chiefs stink. Patty stinks. Bust. The Chiefs do stink. I want to talk about that in a sec. We're going to try to figure that out. This I thought was funny. We're to the point where Odell Beckham's dad is posting about not throwing to his son. This is what he tweeted. It's hard to see. Anyway, the point is, he even rotates his phone like an old man would. He just posts a highlight tape of Baker missing throws. This is where we're at. This is life now. It's pretty funny. Marcus Smart calling out Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to pass the ball. Yeah, the Celtics are really bad. What happened there? What happened? They got smashed by the Bulls. They really are a two-man show, and that's it. Tatum and Brown, like, don't do anything. Smart's not wrong. Like, he should be handling the ball some. That team is bad. They got rid of Brad Stevens. They got rid of everybody. Ainge is gone. Stevens replaces him. I would be concerned about that. Need to Meet the Beckham show on UPN. UPN. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be really good. Like Moesha style. Mets. 2 Mets stories today, actually. They fire the acting GM. He gets arrested. The other GM they had to fire. Sandy Alderson's a disaster as president. They can't replace him, apparently. They don't want to. They can't find a GM at all. I mean, what a nightmare. But the funnier one, and I don't think it's in here. It's not. But Jacob deGrom came out today and said he was hurt like all year. And he said that laying in the MRI tube might have aggravated his elbow earlier this season. So he's already getting an MRI for the injury, lays down in the tube, and hurts the injury even worse. If that's not the most Mets statement of all time, I really, really couldn't tell you what is. We're going to get to this in a little while, but the Astros are starting Luis Garcia on short rest. This is crazy, but they don't have a plethora of starters to turn to. So I haven't been a fan of the Astros, and I'm still not going to be. Spoiler alert. We'll preview that towards the end of the stream. Former FIFA president Sepp Blatter indicted on fraud charges. Finally, this goes through. It was rumored for a long time, and yeah, this is just starting to really move. But shocker, FIFA's corrupt. We can move on. I talked about how rough Dame has been. I want to do trade stuff with him tomorrow. We'll talk at more NBA tomorrow. I don't think we're going to have time for it today. Braves Astros, we will preview. Football. Let's talk Chiefs. Actually, before that, there were a couple more notes I had about the trade deadline that I might have missed. Packers released Jalen Smith. Man, he was so good for the Cowboys when he came out. It just goes to show, like, people were worried that you couldn't draft him at all because of his injuries, and the Cowboys did, and you get 2 good years out of him, maybe, and then his career just seems to be over. Packers just signed him and had to release him, like, immediately. So, a good lesson in don't necessarily go too hard for the guys with bad injury histories, because even if it does pan out, it might not last. The Jets got Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. That's the guy that opted out of last season. He's a Canadian doctor. He opted out of last season's COVID weird year to be a doctor. And now the Jets get him. They trade a backup tight end to get him. He's a lineman from the Chiefs. And here's the tie-in. Why are the Chiefs trading offensive linemen away, even if he's a depth piece? Their offensive line is horrible, and they're all new, and this is a guy that actually wasn't new for them. I know he's not necessarily going to start, but he's some continuity to when the teams weren't terrible, and it's cool for the Jets. I mean, go get a depth piece. It's weird that the Jets are buying at the trade deadline. They only had to give up a backup tight end, so I don't know why you wouldn't do this deal. I don't know why the Chiefs would do this deal. Maybe there's some money involved that they're cutting. I just don't really get it. Oh, and Phillip Rivers might come back and play for the Saints? Trevor Simeon's ride in the sun is over, maybe? If they sign Rivers, it'd be pretty funny. I think it would be an upgrade for them. He'll find Michael Thomas slanting across the field. We'll talk more about that if it actually happens. He's got kids to feed. Give him a contract. All right. Let's get back to the Chiefs debacle and what's wrong with them. Because I want to look at this game and then I want to go back a little bit and try to figure it out. Because Mahomes couldn't do anything against the Giants D, who is a little frisky. They haven't been awful. And the sick interception on the offsides. Yeah, I loved. That was a really nice play. The Giants make the play. They get the pick. It looks like they might win the game. It looked like they might win the game anyway. And then the flag comes out. Classic football. Don't get too excited right away because there always could be a flag or something to stop it or review or whatever. But it was an offsides, and then Mahomes is like, he didn't hit. It wasn't like ultra obvious offsides. I mean, it was a free play, don't get me wrong, but don't get too excited about throwing a terrible pick. When your team can't even win games, it's a free play, he throws a pick, and he's like, yeah, I knew that. It's fine. Like, yikes. How far they've fallen. Daniel Jones is bad. I'm sorry. I don't know. He was able to throw the ball downfield, but the Chiefs' defense is so terrible. To only score 17 here when you scored 10 in the second quarter, it's not good. It's really not good. He fumbles again. They didn't lose it, but he threw a pick. I mean, and not like Mahomes was outdueling him either. Nice ball at the end there. Just missed him. Doesn't look like Jones has any arm strength. Yeah. I don't know what he does well. I honestly don't. He runs well. He didn't in this game. He generally runs well. Sometimes he'll make a throw that you're like, whoa. But we're too deep into his career to be like, maybe he's good at running. Because he's not that good at it. I don't know what the Giants do well. In general. How do you lose? I mean, I know you're on the road against the Chiefs, but they continuously tried to give you the game. They had chances. They had a chance here, but they had a chance. They had a million. A million chances in the second half. I mean, 3-and-out punt. 3-and-out punt. You're down 4. The Chiefs fumble. You finally score. Momentum's good. The Chiefs tie it. You make a defensive stop on a 14-play drive. Great. Then you're punting. And then you're turning it over on downs. They just don't move the ball. They don't have anyone. Like, they're super injured, but I just don't think they do anything well. Joe Judge, I'm watching, and I'm like, do they have a coach? I just don't feel like he impacts the game in either direction. I don't know if he exists. I thought it was going to be an okay hire. And sometimes they look okay. Like, their defense is not terrible. Jason Garrett still has a job. That's wild. But let's talk more about the Chiefs, because I want to get to the bottom of what the deal is here. I saw that they... I don't know exactly what it was. It's... oh, this is funny. I kept this tweet up because this is how the Chiefs play defense. If you can see it, that's better. Garrett is really good at keeping a job longer than he should. He sure is. Lots of blackmail, yeah. He must. I don't know how he got the job in the first place. But this is how the Chiefs defend. There's nobody. Not only is there nobody there, there's nobody looking. This guy is looking at the ball. Nope. Who are you looking at? Who's number 53 on the Chiefs? Anthony Hitchens. He's good. I mean, he's looking 30 yards away into guys that are triple covered. There's someone catching the football right here. Their defense has become so terrible that I'm trying to figure out when this happened and when they started to look so bad. But the real problem is their offense looks terrible too. They scored 20 against the Giants. Mahomes looks pedestrian again. They're throwing 48 times. This is part of the problem. They're throwing way too much. They have no balance. I know Hilaire is out, but they ran okay. Like, you gotta keep teams a little more honest, and you gotta take easy plays, and they just never do. And I'm watching them. It just seems like everything is down the field. Everything is trying to hit the home run. And this isn't baseball. You can't just launch angle your way to wins. It's weird. I don't know why they don't throw it. I think they should. They should take these screen passes. They should take the 5 yards to Kelsey instead of the 20 down the seam. I don't know why they don't run it, is what I mean to say. I don't care who it is. Darrell Williams is fine. But you can't throw 48 times in a game where you only scored 20. only complete 29. They can't all be shots down the field. It just doesn't work. I don't like the way their offense looks. And it's weird because Tyreek Hill gets 12 receptions for 94. You're like, okay, Kelsey not really involved at all. I think this is part of a problem. You're targeting him too much down the field. Mecole Hardman actually played well. So they're just picking on Giants corners. Darrell Williams caught a lot of balls, so he did get it out of the backfield. I don't know why they're not scoring. Kelsey lost a fumble, and they had the one turnover, but why aren't they scoring? They're just turning it over at really bad times, I guess. I mean, this is a red zone turnover, right? Yeah, on the 5. That changes the game because they would have scored. Then they score. They punt here. They punt again. This touchdown was a long drive, and it was a rush. So the run is working. And then the second half, they look bad too. Another bad fumble in Giants territory. So maybe that makes it look different. Like if it's 34-17, I guess we don't complain. But I don't know. There's something different. I don't know if it's Andy Reid calling these plays because he bought too much into himself. And I don't know if it's Mahomes trying to do too much. And I don't know if it's anything. Maybe some of it's bad luck, but it's not getting easier. The Chiefs don't play a team the remainder of the year that have a losing record as far as I know. Packers, Raiders, Cowboys, Broncos are 500. Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, Bengals, Broncos. The Broncos are the only team they should definitely beat on that list. And you start to go, okay, I get it. This is all the story was about. The Chiefs stink, blah, blah, blah. But are they actually not going to make the playoffs? Because that's where we're at. And I think this started last year, and we just didn't know. Because they made the Super Bowl, but they started to look a little shit. They won 1 million games, right? But I remember at the end of last year, they weren't covering a lot of their big spreads, and they weren't dominating as much. Maybe I'm misremembering, but let's look. They win by 14. They win in overtime. They win by 14 at Baltimore. It's a big win. I remember that. They beat New England by 16. They lose to the Raiders, but they scored 32 points. This is where you start to go, oh, defense just gave up 40 to the Raiders, but okay. They beat Buffalo at Buffalo. Huge. They crushed Denver. They crushed the Jets. They barely beat Carolina, but this is a McCaffrey game, I think. Or maybe it wasn't, actually. But they do win. But here, look at this. After the Jets probably ruined them, let's be honest. Best team in the league. Mike White's the quarterback. I wish he was back then. They barely beat Carolina on a late field goal? On a missed field goal by the Panthers. 67 yards, but still. So they could have easily lost this game. They come out of the bye. They beat Vegas barely. They give up 31 in this one, and they had already lost to them and gave up 32 in that one. They play Tampa. They win. Another close one. It's not like they're blowing teams out the way they were before. We'll go back and look at the 2019 schedule in a second. Denver, they beat by 6. That's not a good win. Miami, they beat by 6. That's not a great win either. They give up 27 to Miami. They give up 29 to New Orleans, who wasn't a good offense last year. Drew Brees was terrible. I don't even know if he played in this game. Was this the Taysom Hill game? It was. No, Brees played. Okay, but still. So you're looking and you're like, they're winning all these games, but do I feel good about them? They should be stomping teams. It's the Chiefs, right? This from last year, we think of the Chiefs as this team that just dominated down the field, down the field, down the field. But that was really 2019. It really was. Last year, they were very good, but I'm starting to think that this turn happened earlier than we thought. Because they give up 29 to the Saints. They give 3 touchdowns to Drew Brees, who looked terrible. They barely beat Atlanta. Now the offense is struggling. This is where the offensive line starts to fall apart. They start to not know if they can really, what they're going to be able to do on offense. And Mahomes played superhero for some of it. They lose this game, but they didn't play anyone. But the defense still gives up 38 points. And there's just some question marks I'm starting to have over this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I mean, you're 7-1 after week 9. But zero of these games make me really excited. Beating Tampa, definitely. This is good. This is a good one. This is a good one. But where are we? Let's see. And they had them. See, this is a little alarming too. They had him on the ropes. It's 27-10. And it's Brady, whatever, I get it. Mike Evans scores 2 touchdowns in the fourth, and all of a sudden it's a 3-point game in a game you were up 17 with the best offense of all time, and you don't score again. You don't score in the fourth, and you give up 2 touchdowns, and I'm just a little, you leave that game like, whew, okay, we won. That doesn't mean you have no problems. And then you go to the playoffs. See, you beat Cleveland, but that was a scary game too. And it doesn't matter. You win games, I get it, but this wasn't a wrap, They're down 5 with 11 minutes left, and the Chiefs don't score again. The second half, again, they're up 19-3. It's a pattern we're starting to see. So Baker throws a pick. Not that surprising. The Chiefs get the ball. Here, the game should be over. Same thing I just said about that Bucs game. It should be over. This is a high-flying offense. It's 80-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill time. They don't. They go 3 and out and miss a short field goal after a pick in their own zone. So then the Browns march down the field. You're up 9. Again, you get it. Put them away. Put them away. Put them away. They get to the 15 and can't score. They're forced to kick to make it a 12-point game. Actually, they're not. They're up 9. They're up 9, and it's 4th and 1 at the 15. This is a spot where you go for it, to me. You put that game out of reach because you're already up 2 possessions. So you're the Chiefs. You can run time off the clock. You can do a lot of things here if you get this. But they were scared of how bad their offensive line was, and that is clear to me. And I don't know. So they kick, they miss. Browns march it down the field against their defense. 18-play drive, and all of a sudden you're up 5. You're up 5. You're not doing much. Chad Henne comes in this game, right? Mahomes left. But regardless, he gets picked on 1st and 25, where you should obviously be running the ball if you had any faith in your running backs and or offensive line. And then the Browns just can't do anything. They punt, and the Chiefs are able to get out of it. But this isn't a cakewalk runaway win. I mean, Mahomes hurt. Okay. Okay. But this game makes everyone forget. See, this is the problem. This is a great win. They looked good in this game. They still let the Bills score 10 unanswered in the fourth. After leading 38-15, they only win 38-24. It's the same thing. It's not that they're bad already because they went to the Super Bowl last year. But they had issues. The writing was on the wall. They started to blow all these games in the fourth quarter, and everyone's like, whew, we escaped. I mean, this is a great win. Don't get me wrong. Like, the Bills were very good. Josh Allen still stinks, and I'll stand by that. He'll turn the ball over with the game on the line. And here it is. But there's just trouble in paradise, and then they go to Tampa and get stomped because the Tampa D is good. They know that this offensive line has crumbled. They put heat on them. They dominate them. Mahomes throws 49 times again in a losing effort. You don't see them running the ball, even though their numbers are good. This is what it keeps happening. It's the same problems. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is running 7.1 yards per carry, and they were down, so like I get that, but there's something amiss if you're trying to figure it out, if you're trying to pick it apart and see what was going on. I just, it feels like this went back further. So then you jump into 2021 and you start to see the problems. They beat the Browns, but they give up 29 points. They lose to the Ravens. They scored a lot, but they give up 36 points. They lose because they gave up 30 points. And they're not dropping 40. They do drop 40 against the Eagles, but they give up 30. You look at the Buffalo game, they get torched. There's some bad calls in that game, but they got torched the whole game, give up 38. They beat up on Washington, who has nobody. And even that game was close for a while. You can't just look at the final scores. You got to see how the actual game went, and preferably watch it. But this was 17-13 in the second half. Tennessee, they get stomped and can't score. You'd think if there is fight in the dog, this is where they drop 40 on the Giants and their defense shows up. And their defense was better in this. They only gave up 17, but they gave up 17 to Daniel Jones, Devontae Booker, and John Ross. Kadarius Toney's good. Sterling Shepard got hurt mid-game. Evan Ingram can't catch the football. It's alarming no matter what. So I'm not going to sing the defense's praises. Is it an upgrade? I guess. But let's go back to 2019 because this wasn't always how you felt about that. Let's even go earlier 2020. They are winning better games. You know, we went through some of this. Let's go back to 2019. And you see the difference is pretty noticeable. 40-26, 28-10, 33-28, but that's against Baltimore, and that's always been a little bit of a rivalry matchup, Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson. Detroit, they give up 30. That's weird. But this is Stafford? So, yeah. So, I mean, they had Kenny Golladay. You know, Kenny Golladay had a huge game. What are you going to do? Give them the benefit of the doubt on that one. They lose to Indy in just a terrible, terrible, ugly football game. Maybe there was weather in this one or something. I don't know. They lose to Houston, but this is when Deshaun Watson went insane against them. Oh, he threw 2 picks, but they had a big day that day. Or it was a late win or something. In any case, you can see they're not even turning it on all the way yet. They crushed Denver. This is the get-right game. This is the one that the Giants should have been last night in 2019. This is how you get good. And by the way, they had better running backs. They still had Damian Williams. They had LaShawn McCoy when he still had some juice in there. Did they have Kareem Hunt? I don't know. But we're talking about a different team with a better offensive line. Oh, Matt Moore played. Okay. Oh, no. That was just a dominant. Yeah. Mahomes gets hurt here. So then they go through a little bit of a weird spell. Mahomes is back for this one. But even it's still rocky, you know? It's still a little more rocky than you give it credit for already. So Matt Moore played in these 3. And then Mahomes is back here. He throws for almost 500 yards, but they lose. Okay. And this is where it clicks. But it's a much shorter window than you think it is. I'm not pulling away from the greatness of the Chiefs. I'm just trying to figure out what went on. Because it feels like they were dominant for so long, and I just don't think they were. They beat the Chargers by 7. Mahomes throws for 182. They beat Oakland big. After the by week 12. This might be the turning point, right? Darwin Thompson was looking good there for a minute. Remember him? They didn't really run the ball in this game either. They didn't do much in this game, but their defense must have played well. 2 picks and a fumble. I mean, how do they win 40-9 when their offense did nothing? Pick, touchdown, fumble, turnover, punt, turnover, touchdown. It's already 14-0. Pick 6 at 14-0, and then the game is just over and nothing happens in the second half. I mean, there's touchdowns traded, but okay. So you crush Oakland, matter of circumstance or not. Your defense actually was scoring and turning the ball over. You win at New England. You beat Brady in New England, right? Huge. This is another turning point. So the bye week is big for them. They get right. Mahomes gets healthy. They start running the ball a little more. Crush Oakland. Win at New England. You're feeling great. Crush Denver. Crush Chicago. Win by 10 in the finale against a division opponent. You're rolling now. You drop 50 on Houston. You get through Tennessee. And you win the Super Bowl. And by the way, looking back, it's like, yeah. I mean, Houston was good at the time with Watson, but like, yeah, of course the Chiefs were better than a lot of these teams. They win the Super Bowl. They have a much better quarterback in this game. Garoppolo didn't play that well. And you're like, okay, now this is the new team. Then you go to 2020 when they're prohibitive favorites. Everyone thinks they're going to win everything. Everyone is blinded by these first games, first 7 weeks. Everything looks great. You're 6-1. You're cruising. You're no hangover. You won the Super Bowl. Now you're moving on. And we just went over it. It starts to get a little more ugly than you think, but you only have 2 losses, and you win the 2 playoff games, so you don't care. Then you get crushed. And what everyone should have said here was, man, that was a crazy 10 to 15 week run over 2 seasons that the Chiefs had, but it's starting to look a little ugly. And the offensive line is terrible, and the defense started to blow everything down the stretch last year, and then they got killed by Tampa in a game they should have at least been competitive in. Then you come into this year and you're like, well, we rebuilt the offensive line. It'll be fine. No, we didn't get a running back. It doesn't matter. No, we didn't upgrade our defense. We actually had to get rid of some people because we had to pay the big guys a little more money. I don't know if that Patrick Mahomes contract has kicked in. It's hard to type with the mic here. I need to figure that out at some point. I don't think it has. No. It's over a long period of time. Well. Oh, okay, no. It's next year. The roster bonuses, the roster number starts next year and gets much worse and goes up to 50 in 2027. Holy shit, this is a bad year for them. They're like planning that this was the end of the run, right? So they don't have to pay him anything right now, and they still couldn't upgrade the defense. Not well, and they couldn't get a running game, and they couldn't fix the offensive line because every single person, all 5 people they brought in weren't good, and then they traded Duvernay-Tardif to the Jets. So this isn't going to get any easier for them. And at what point are we just kind of willing to say, oh, we thought they fixed everything and that 10 to 15 week stretch would just continue eventually? I don't totally know. Maybe this was always a little more flawed than we gave it credit for. And maybe it's not going to come back very easily. And once you have to pay Mahomes, maybe it's not going to come back at all. That's a hot take, but I just don't see it. And I see them playing really hard games. And if they get hot again, then good for them. And I'm wrong, and I'll be happy to be wrong because I bet the Chiefs to win their division. I also have them to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I bought in as much as anybody, but I'm willing to change that after watching 8 weeks of them struggle in ways that I have now put patterns to. So I don't want to overdo it with them, but it felt like a necessary call. Let's talk about fantasy football. There were injuries. There's waiver stuff. We'll go through it pretty quick. This is my team, by the way. What a squad. What a squad. Russellmania. He's coming back. We believe in you, Russ. We do. I mean, I love all these guys. Derek Carr loses Henry Ruggs. Tough. But Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel are probably the both top 5 receivers in the NFL right now. So anyway, I love this team. That's not the point I want to make. And I'm leaking my waiver stuff in case anyone is watching from my league. You hate to see it. But let's go to research ads. So let's talk about these guys. Jeremy McNichols and Adrian Peterson are now going to share the backfield for Tennessee. What were Adrian Peterson's numbers like? Who did he play for? Washington and then Detroit, right? And he was just taking stuff away from DeAndre Swift when he shouldn't have been. He ran for 604 yards per attempt, 3.9. Not great. He was much better in Washington. He looked fresh still in Washington. That's 3 years ago now. He gets up off the couch. He's probably in shape. But is he going to blow the doors off of anything? Adrian Peterson is the guy that you pick up and you're like, cool, it's Adrian Peterson. He's going to get carries. At least he'll be on the field. And then in fantasy, you're like, I'm not going to start him, though. He's the kind of guy that just sits on your bench. And if he gets dropped, someone will pick him up. But why? So McNichols is the guy for me. I mean, he looked pretty good in that Jets game here when they had no receivers at all, to the point where they were only running. Let's pull up the box score here. We'll do the Yahoo one, because why not? I don't really know how to look at their box scores, if I'm being honest. Here it is. Why wouldn't it be at the top? Yahoo, hire me. You need UX help. McNichols, only one rush, but he caught 8 balls for 72 yards. Yeah. And did he have a touchdown? He didn't. And they lost to the Jets, which is, of course they did, because the Jets are the best team in the league. Mike White football. You want to hear more about Mike White football? Listen to yesterday's stream, or go to YouTube. Search Mike the Mush on YouTube. Or if you're already on YouTube, then watch us on Twitch. It's fun. Join live, chat, etc. So I like McNichols here. Peterson, not worth a waiver claim to me, but who knows? I mean, if you're desperate for a back that's going to see the field, sure. Gore for Kansas City, no. I mean, no. I don't want any of their running backs. I don't really want to even talk about Kansas City anymore. Carlos Hyde only got the ball and scored a touchdown because James Robinson was hurt. He's not that hurt as far as I know, and I wouldn't bother. Mike White's the best player in the league. I would literally add him only because, like, a late round quarterback, especially if in your keeper league, is a great option. And you can start him in a pinch this week against Indy on a short week, because I think the short week for him might actually be nice. He can ride that confidence right into the next game. It's a road game, and it's Mike White. I'm not saying he's like gonna light the league on fire, but if you have a bye week for your quarterback or injuries or something, who knows? Taysom Hill, I don't know. Maybe you want to give Phillip Rivers a speculative ad if you think that's a good idea. So, who are the other ones that I'm not thinking of? This is just who's available in our league, but I had a list. I lost it for some reason. Let's just see if there's one to pull up. Week 9. Clutchpoints.com. We'll give you a try. I just really want to see. Yeah, Gallup is someone to go get, probably. He's coming back. I think that's fine. Although Cedric Wilson has looked good for them. Van Jefferson, because Deshaun Jackson leaves the Rams. They just part ways. Interesting. They just were like, yeah, you can go. He's going to try to find another job. He probably won't get one or be relevant. Good for the Rams, by the way, for letting Deshaun Jackson just go if he wants to. Also, why doesn't he want to be? I know he wants to play, but like, you're on a good team. And if someone gets hurt, you're an important piece. That's weird to me. I'd rather do that than play for the Jets. Except Mike White. I don't know. Maybe he saw Mike White and he's like, I got to get in there. So this is weird. Jamison Crowder. Mike White football, man. Yeah, I like Crowder. PPR machine. If he's available, get him. Carlos Hyde. Didn't have a major injury for James Robinson, like we said. Urban Meyer has a history with Hyde. I don't want an Urban Meyer offense. I don't want the Jaguars running back. There's just such a low floor for Carlos Hyde. It's just like, if you're super desperate and you need someone who's just going to play, then yeah, for a week. But don't have, if you're in like a fab league, don't bid too much. Logan Thomas, it's just a tight end. I mean, Fields, Mooney, no. I mean, Mooney I think should be rostered probably, but he should have already been rostered probably, but he's another guy that you could start him in a pinch, I guess, if your receivers are thin. But Fields is going to have some bad games. Taysom Hill, this is a no for me, unless whenever he was like tight end eligible, that was really silly. If you still have that somehow, then yeah, but I just don't see him ever throwing a lot. Simeon, if they don't get Rivers, Simeon should be in there and Hill will play like a bunch of snaps. Maybe they just let Hill rip, but they didn't last year when they could have. And I think Rivers is a better ad. And he's so droppable if it goes wrong. I kind of like that. I don't like to be tied to people. Yeah. McNichols and Peterson. We talked about. Oh, this was the other one that I couldn't think of. Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. They must already be owned in my league. Shout out to Fish and Chips. We got good owners. Cutthroat. I mean, Jordan Howard, I can't. I said don't put Adrian Peterson in. I'm going to pick up Jordan Howard, who hasn't played in a year and a half, and neither is Adrian Peterson, I guess, but, like, I know he had 2 touchdowns, but I just can't. Boston Scott, I do feel like is shifty and can do something in Miles Sanders' absence, but I think Sanders might only be out for 3 weeks. This isn't the... Like, McNichols to me could be a home run, right? That's a team that needs to run the ball to operate. They're a playoff team. They're going to lean on him. He's not a rookie. He's ready. You hope. But it's a flyer on a bigger thing. Boston Scott is like, he's a cute gadget. You know, he can run, no disrespect. Like, he's an okay player. Where did he go to school? I keep wanting to say Boston College, but that's not it. That would be silly. High school. Louisiana Tech. I don't remember that. Didn't they have another running back? Dixon or something? That was drafted and people thought were going to be good. Kenneth Dixon, yeah. He was on the Ravens, right? Yeah. Oh, he's a Jet. Look at that. Not for long. Anyway, yeah, Boston Scott is in a pinch. Jordan Howard is a guy that I'll put on my bench and never use. Same with Adrian Peterson, probably. McNichols is the guy, man. I'll give up something for him. I'd give up something for him. The rest, kick rocks. Talk baseball quickly. Couple things I don't really understand, and this is why I want to talk about it. Sorry, here we go. Game 6. So it's the Braves bringing back Fried on regular rest, and the Astros bringing back Garcia on short rest. I talked about how Fried had a huge edge in this matchup when he pitched earlier, and he got hit up. And if you listen to the stream then, or go to the YouTube and go find it, I'm not going to edit it in here, but I would love to. He got hit. They scored like 5 runs early. Then he settled down and had 3 good innings and got like 10 outs in a row. And also, it was death by 1,000 cuts. He gave up a lot of singles. He didn't get rocked. And I just think there was a path to that game going differently, and there still is. And I can see him bouncing back in a big way, building off those 10 outs in a row that he got, and being confident at least to come in here, or motivated, or something, to the point where I think he was already a better option than Luis Garcia, right? And now you're talking about Luis Garcia on short rest. We don't know how he's going to operate. He's a young guy. He's 24. Has he ever pitched on short rest in a relevant way? I know this is going to be here somewhere. I'll probably have to go to his split stats. I should have had this ready. Apologies. I know it's here. It must be. And if not, someone has definitely found it. Days of rest. I gotcha. So he has pitched once this year on short rest, 1 game, 18 plate appearances. It might have been in relief. It might have been a weird thing. I don't know. So he is on 3 days today. Today is the 4th day, I believe. Let me make sure that that's right. He pitched on the... Oh, come on. Postseason. He pitched on the 29th, which was here. 1, 2, 3, and today's the 4th day. So, you know, not a lot of experience. Most of his games are on 5 days rest. And that has to be a red flag, right? And then you look at the lineups and you're like, okay, Atlanta's going back to the stacking the lefties at the top against the righty. This makes sense. You have the 3 lefties in a row. They want to thump them early. We talked all about that last week whenever they faced Garcia the first time. Rosario's been killing the baseball. There's just a path to them scoring a lot very early and putting this game away and Fried cruising. And I thought it last time and I was wrong. But why are they underdogs? Just because they're on the road? That's it? That's the only reason? Because I can't figure this out. Garcia is not a sure thing. He's the worst of the 2 options when you consider the rest, and even on regular rest, I'd still take Fried. I guess they're scared of the lefty thing against a righty thumping lineup. But I think you're getting the better option at positive odds, and I think you're getting the better team going for a World Series. I know Astros backer against the wall, but I don't get this line. Chef knows nothing about fantasy and he stinks, and his fantasy plays are worse than Danny Times plays. Shots are fired in the chat. Whew. Shots being fired out there. It's hot in here. The block is hot. I like the Braves at plus odds. I think even if they were at minus odds, I'd still be attracted to it. And this feels just like a gift. Go win a World Series. Go win it. I don't have to look at the game logs. We did this last time. I know he gave up some runs. He's gotten hit twice in a row. You could make the argument that his wheels are falling off, but I just didn't see that in this one. Last game, I think he pitched better than he deserved. And I'm pretty okay with taking that at plus odds. So I'd go for that. What do I know? We'll see. We will see what happens. Game 6 is tonight, Tuesday night. Game 7 would be Wednesday, so we'll go all over that tomorrow if it happens. Otherwise, we'll do a full season recap a little bit. We'll talk about this game either way. I do want to talk about Dame Lillard. We didn't really get to that today, but I think it's better for tomorrow. Lay your bank account on Atlanta. Free money. Agreed. Agreed, Shakes. Tell them. Preach to them. Go Braves. Tomorrow we'll do some NBA. We'll see what happens. You never know what's going to happen in the sports landscape. We'll stay on top of it. But if you're watching on Twitch, subscribe on the YouTube channel just in case you miss one. Like, comment, all that kind of good stuff. Search Mike the Mush on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, follow the Twitch. You can join live as these happen. You can chat with me. You see me talking to the chatters, I'm sure. That's fun. I have a Discord channel now. I might start this tomorrow as well. We're going to try to take calls. We're going to do voice chat calls on here as if it's a radio show, which it basically is. We'll see how that goes. But the Discord link is either on my social media somewhere at Mike Mush Sports on Twitter and Instagram, or go to the, thanks for the follow, Shakes. Go to the about page of twitch.com, twitch.tv/Mike the Mush. And you go to the about page and the Discord invite is right in there for everybody. You join in. We can talk sports all day if you'd like, but ideally, eventually, I'd like to create a community there where I can just pull people into the voice chat and we can talk about whatever topic we're talking about. That'd be fun. So yeah, if you're into anything other than sports, music, movies, TV, I have another podcast called The Link Podcast. I have links to that on my link tree, which you can find on the social media. Some cool episodes out in that, and maybe we'll do some kind of crossover something. We'll see. Until then, I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.